how do I find the time to do all of these calls when I'm already trying to do all of the service? I'm already overloaded, and now you want me to do all of this.
That's the biggest challenge of business. It's like you've got so much that's required of you, so little time in the day. How do you do it? You feel stuck, right? And it's like all business owners feel that. And it's so tough because it's like all the stuff you have to do, but you also have to have time for yourself. On the front end, like the branding and advertising front, like you can just hire an agency like what we do. Over time, over 6 months, you will have an incredible brand on the few of those avenues. You will have that great presence. You'll be amazed at how much you can call and what sort of sales volume you can put out with a proper system.
Thank you, Marco, for coming on today. I
Pleasure.
appreciate it. Keen to jump into a chat, talk about your marketing agency, talk about how you've been serving painters and things like that. Do you want to just jump in and kind of start off with how long you've been doing this for? Just give everyone an introduction on who you are, what you've been doing, your service in a way.
Yeah. So we've been scaling painters now for about 2 years, running with them. We partnered with over 30 painters at this point, scaled a bunch of them up to 7 figures, $1 million a year. We sort of partner with them, handle all the marketing, help them with the sales, and then also some consulting as well, help them scale their business, more as a partnership rather than an agency. That's also why we've niched down just to painters as well. We now no longer service sort of other niches,
Right.
Unlike yourself.
Yeah. So you were working with everyone else before, and what was the shift to just work with painters mainly?
Yeah, so we were working with a lot of pressure washers, a lot of roofers, other niches as well, and we just realized that to be able to fully service someone, we really had to just like cut everyone else off and just service one niche. So now when a painter works with us, like we know that business model inside and out.
Yeah.
Like if they're not making sales, we actually know how to solve it, and all our systems are just dialed in for painters.
Yeah.
So it just allowed us to get much better results, and because we do like revenue share, we make more money, they make more money. Just made more sense long term.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, most painters most tradies, but definitely painters as well, rely on like word of mouth referrals, high pages, pay-per lead platforms.
Yeah.
What do you feel like is like the problem that's causing long-term? Obviously, there's a short-term pain they're trying to fix there, but what's the long-term, maybe bad effects of that people don't actually realize that's happening?
Yeah. I think in Australia, it's like over the last 30 years, like so many of our clients said, like 30 years ago, it was so much easier to get work. Like there was nowhere near as much competition. Like you really could just rely off word of mouth, have a 7-figure a year painting company. And now what's happened, because there's so many people coming over and, just joining the trade, in a lot of, states, you just don't need a building license to enter a painting trade with the job size. The competition's just gotten so cooked, and there's people just undercutting them left, right, and center. So if you're just relying on word of mouth and referrals and all that basic stuff, it just doesn't cut it anymore to get the amount of work. And painters are struggling. Like they'll go out and quote a word of mouth job or quote a referral job, not land it, and now they're screwed. So now paid advertising is not so much like a luxury that the bigger companies afford. It's something that every painter needs to be doing to be able to keep the work coming in and keep their business stable. And not have to start laying off those employees.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And I guess it's like they don't have enough, so they kind of had to just scrape and do what they can and take on the bad jobs that they don't want to take on. So like, what do you feel like is the biggest mistake when it comes to trying to generate new leads? Maybe they don't know ads, they don't know any other way but word of mouth. Like, what's the mistake that they make when trying to look at new avenues and things like this?
I know you get this a lot as well. Like every marketing agency or marketing partner gets the same thing. It's like smaller companies will come to an agency and just like want leads. And because they're used to like high pages or service seek, they'll be like, oh, no, how many leads am I going to get? I want some leads. The issue with that is it's like, you can have a bunch of leads, but unless you're an expert closer, like really good at selling, you also need to show that lead why you're the best option. You also need to be able to build that trust with a lead, because otherwise it's just a race to bottom on price. And if you're getting the same leads, a shared lead, or the same lead as a bunch of other painters that are all just competing on price, the homeowner's just looking at price, and then you're having to undercut yourself, operate like a 5% margin, a 10% margin, really do a lot of work for not much money. Whereas what they need to be doing is focusing on building their brand, actually building a bit of a moat, being unique in the market, and, sure, get those leads coming in, but actually be able to convert those leads for a good dollar amount and not just be competing on price with 6 or 7 other painters that are doing the same thing. You know, so I think the biggest mistake is being a painter that just focuses on I need more leads instead of focusing on let's build my brand, let's create systems to convert these leads, and let's focus on, you know, creating an ecosystem in my company where a lead comes in, I can actually convert it for a high dollar amount. My business is self-advertising and I'm not having to scrape around looking for more leads every single day or every single week.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I guess from my perspective, when I hear you say things like brand, I know exactly what you're talking about. I can think about all the strategies, you know, we put in place for our clients that you put in place for your clients. But for a painter, what does actually having a brand look like, and how does that help like get them leads, or even furthermore to your point, like convert the leads that they get through whatever channel that may be?
I think the best way to explain this is like a real rock solid example. So we had a painter come to us recently. His name was, or he's branded as Star Helpers, right? And he did a bit of everything. He did a bit of painting work, he did a bit of handyman work, did a bit of restorations, a bit of everything. When you think of Star Helpers, it doesn't really feel like a very rock solid brand. You know, you think someone that can do some good painting work, but nothing rock solid. If a lead comes in to Star Helpers, what's unique about Star Helpers? What makes them different? What makes them more valuable? What justifies them charging, you know, 10 or 11 or 12K for a 3-bedroom interior repaint versus the other competitor that's charging 5K and has the same image or presence? You know, it just came over, you know, from say India or Pakistan over in the last 5 years and is just undercutting everyone on price. So what we did was we changed him. We found his last name Bonello. We called him Bonello Painting. We took his logo and made it feel like an artistic brand. We looked at the ICP, like who exactly we're going to be targeting. And we said, we're going to target specifically feminine men and females in Melbourne from the ages of 50 to 75. And we basically are now just formatting his whole business, his processes, his brand around that ICP, so that specific person. And now when we go to market and we advertise and he's charging a premium price, that homeowner that comes to us is going to be that lady or feminine man from 50 to 75. They're going to see that he's an artistic painter. They're going to see he's unique in the market. And the person that wants a job that is done with a very, very high quality, the person that wants a job that is done by that artistic painter in that ICP criteria is going to pick them over the competitors just because they feel spoken to and they can see that he's unique or different in the market. So yes, he is going to lose some of those jobs that were, you know, price shoppers and quote shoppers. But he's carved out a little space in his market where he's like, if you're this person, you come to me. And every single business that we work with, every single painter, we just try and carve out a little spot in the market for them where they can charge that premium price and attract that ICP, ideal client profile, without having to compete on that price. But if you just have a brand that services everyone, like Star Helpers, it doesn't have a unique positioning in the market, you're just going to be competing with everyone else that doesn't have a unique positioning in the market and having to race to the bottom on price.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I guess that's a lot of kind of principle stuff on like how to position and things that you should have kind of set up on the background before you go to market with your marketing and your advertising.
Yeah.
In real application, so people can maybe go, okay, I can see
Sure.
how that background connects to the front end, the ads, the things. What does that look like in real terms? Maybe seeing an ad or seeing a content or seeing a website. What does that kind of look like?
Cool. So the first thing is like your voice and the sort of messaging you're giving to the market. Like when you're writing all your copy, when you're writing the caption in your Instagram bio or the caption in your Facebook bio, call out who you're targeting. Make sure that the copy that you're writing, like the words you're writing in there, you're speaking to the person that you're trying to speak to. Make sure that all the content you're putting up there is speaking to the exact ideal client profile you're speaking to. As an example, a person from 50 to the age of 75, are they going to care about the lowest price over having a job well done? Maybe not. But if you are targeting people from the ages of 30 to 40, they probably are going to care about price more. So you could position your brand around price. You can do that. But just make sure, the captions in your bios, your website, the content you're putting out is speaking all of that is speaking to exactly who you're trying to target. And don't do mixed messaging. You know, like if you're trying to target premium, make sure that the content you're putting out is premium. Make sure the website you're putting up is premium. You know, make sure that when you're quoting your jobs, you'll have like a premium template. Make sure that your customer service is premium, you know, and you don't need to try and do everything. You just pick 2 points that you want to be best at and focus on those 2 points, the way that you're interacting with the customers, the way you're quoting, the way you do the job, and dial in on those 1 or 2 points and just make sure that everyone knows that if you want these 2 things done well, you come to my company.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So I guess that's like a really good idea on how the painter's side, the tradies side has changed, the market's evolved, the different positioning you need to have, and then the application of that. But then from the homeowner's point of view, obviously if one thing changes on both sides, right? Do you want to maybe just talk to like what's changed for homeowners? How are homeowners finding painters?
Yeah.
How are they searching, or why aren't they just going to their friend, or why aren't they just doing the word of mouth stuff anymore? Like what's changed with that? Or if they are, how has that changed because of what the tradies do?
Yeah. I think people are always going to do word of mouth, and it's such a good base to have. Like if you've been in the market for a long time, you've built up a reputation, you're going to have a lot of word of mouth and referrals come to you. But you need to be doing paid ads to grow your brand in this age and era. Now, what's like changed on the homeowner front? It's trust. You know, so many people have been burnt now because there's so much saturation in the market and they have gone after the cheapest price. Maybe they have been burnt, they've got a sloppy job done. Now it's like you need to be showing that you are the best option and showing a lot of proof in that. So your reviews are so important, you know, your branding's super important. And what people don't realize is like trust, yes, it's reviews and case studies, but trust is also the quality that your brand is perceived. So if you've got bad content on your business, how is that homeowner perceiving you? They're perceiving you as a low quality brand because their perception is low quality content or their perception is a low quality website. So, you know, if you want to stand out and be viewed as a high quality business for your work, the first touch point that homeowner has with you is your online presence, your media, your branding. So you need to be sort of portraying your high quality work also on the front end as with high quality media and a high quality website.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, that word of mouth referral, they might, you know, check you out online after their friend mentions you, but they just see a crappy website, a crappy brand, a crappy media presence, and they're going, are these guys actually good?
Yeah, compared to someone that has it set up properly and it does look good, who they're going to compare apples to apples and go, well, he looks better and he's talking to me more, but he's got some weird photos and he's not really talking to me. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the more set up person, like you're saying.
Exactly. And the thing is with word of mouth, people don't realize like you can increase the volume of word of mouth you get by being really premium online. Because when people, you know, when people mention your name and then they check you out online, they go, oh, okay, I really trust this person that referred me and I can see they look good online.
That's a really good point because I guess the word of mouth and referrals now, people can do their own research before they go. Instead of just calling them straight away, they can do their research, check their website, check to see if that's actually the match for them. So like you're saying, if you 100%. Have that set up, you can actually convert more word of mouth leads as well as convert more leads that don't even know you from the first place.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing, like in terms of like positioning yourself, you know, as that premium option, it's like people, you know, the first things we go to is like website, media, how high you're ranking, you know, what's your reputation, etc. But brand also leaks through everything. So the way you rock up to your jobs, the way your employees present themselves, the way your cars are wrapped. And it's like, it's a ripple on effect. Like one person that has a bad experience with your business is going to tell like 10 people. Someone that has a good experience with your business might only tell one person, right? So it's so important for your brand. Yes, focus on all the media front, but also on the back end, like make sure that your service delivery is on point and you're delivering an amazing product from start to finish because that affects your brand so much.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So I guess like there's some really good examples on how to do it, how to set it up, kind of that look around. What about the people, the painters that have done this before? Maybe they've gotten a marketing guy, maybe they've tried something and then maybe it didn't work and then they kind of go, oh, well, this just doesn't work for me. What do you kind of say to those guys or what could they do differently so it could work?
Yeah. I'm going to give like an example of like if I was to build a house, right? If I was to go and build a house and I don't know shit about building, right? I'm going to fuck it up, right? I'm going to fuck up that house.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go around and say, building houses doesn't work. It's just like the level to which you can build that house, And I think that the two things that I see people really fuck up with advertising, and they go, throw in the towel, it didn't work. One is that branding front. It's like they'll try and advertise to market, but they've got the shittest social media presence, the worst website, no reviews, and they look crap. It's like, yes, we're getting a lot of eyeballs on your business, but those eyeballs are going here, maybe putting an inquiry, getting a horrible customer service. Like, you're taking 7 days to get a quote back to them. You're not following up with their messages. You're leaving them on red. It's like, okay, well, we've got a lot of eyeballs here, but they're not sticking because your sales process is really bad and your branding looks horrible. So those two things, one is your branding, making sure that looks mint, and then also your sales process. Like, are you really picking up that phone and calling them within 5 minutes, speed to lead? Are you following up with them well? Are you making them feel like, wow, these guys are professional and they've got an amazing brand and an amazing customer experience and sales process? I'm going to go with them. Because like there's people in the market like NH Painting, as an example. It's like, you're competing with these huge brands that have like 50,000 followers on Instagram, an amazing website, a perfectly dialed sales process and customer experience. And they're going to put an inquiry with you and with them. And if you're charging premium prices, these guys are probably charging premium prices as well. So the only thing that you can compete on is price. You can't compete on value front end because they haven't experienced your service yet. Even if you've got a better painting, you're better at painting. These people don't know that. They haven't actually experienced that. So if you don't want to be competing on price and you really want to position yourself well, it's like, sales process and the branding.
So if they haven't experienced the value yet, and that's the whole part I'm trying to get them over, is how can you increase the likelihood of perceived value on the front end? So it seems like, okay, these guys are valuable. Are you tying all of that in together? Like, how does that kind of tie in?
Yeah. So you're talking about like someone comes in from an ad, they see you, how can you increase that perceived value?
Yeah, because the guys that don't have the funnel set up properly, they don't have the reviews, they don't have all this stuff, well, their value doesn't seem that big. So how is it tying in the system all together so it seems like you're more valuable and therefore can also charge more on the back end kind of thing?
Correct. 100%. I'll actually give like actionable steps here because I think it's super important. Less is more. So like if you're trying to do a little bit of everything, but you're failing at everything, as an example, you've got a Facebook page, an Instagram page, a website, a Google business profile, but they're all shit. It's much better just to have a Google business profile and a website that looks amazing. You know what I mean? And then just run Google ads. Or if you're doing social media, it'd be better if you don't have the budget or you can't, it would be better just to have an amazing Facebook page and Instagram page, not have the other 2 points, and then just run Facebook ads. Like, just make sure that every touch point that customer could have with your business is top notch.
Yeah, I think people get carried away with that is because they probably hear podcasts and other things and it's like information overload. It's have this, TikTok, YouTube, emails. And then we have people that come to us and go, can we set this all up? And you go, yeah, if you want to spend like 10 grand a month.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have the budget for it. And it's like those people get caught up with that information. So make it simpler. Focus on a few touch points and then scale that rather than trying to half pie do everything. Yeah,
it's like, jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
You hear about the same thing in business. It's like trying to do a bit of everything but not a master of anything. Same thing with marketing. It's like, yes, ideal world, you have the budget for everything, we can set everything up perfectly from the beginning, and you'll be super successful. But most businesses and trades businesses aren't like that. They don't have unlimited budgets. So I think it's super important just to focus on 1 or 2 verticals, scale that up, look real professional, and then expand to the other verticals.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you try and do everything but half-assed, and then you're also running paid ads, it's like that money's just gone completely to waste.
Yeah, and then you say things like, oh, marketing doesn't work, these leads don't convert, and it's like, yeah, that makes sense.
And I'd say the thing on like people saying leads don't convert, it's like, if you're not incredibly good at sales, which realistically, if you're a trades business owner, you can't be. Unless you've been, in this trade dealing with cold traffic for a very, very long time. But most trades business owners have been dealing with word of mouth, really warm quality lead sources coming into their business and selling those at like, a 70% conversion rate and thinking that same conversion rate is going to carry across to cold traffic.
Yeah,
And
what's the difference between that warm and cold? Because we know what
Yeah.
that language is, but can you explain in a really simple way what the difference is so people go, yeah, okay, I can see why.
100%. So your cold traffic is someone that's just seen your ad, has been exposed to your business for, let's say, 10 minutes max. They've seen you got good reviews, blah, 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 but they don't really trust you yet. That warm traffic is that referral where it's like, they've been referred by a friend. It's like, wow, this person trusts you massively because they've been referred by someone. That's going to be so much easier to close because they already trust you. You don't have to overcome that trust barrier. The cold traffic, they don't trust you. So you do have to overcome that. Now, if you're selling to cold traffic, your sales process needs to be in a way where you're uncovering their pains, building that trust in your solution, and then pitching them an incredible service over here, and you're doing amazing follow-up. And that's all just to build trust and, belief in what you can do and the sort of service you're going to deliver. But if you don't have all that back end set up for a cold traffic, you're not going to convert anything, right? And then you're going to blame the lead source, but it's not, that's just cold traffic. And you need to crack cold traffic to grow your business. So it's not so much like advertising doesn't work, you're just not doing it to the level required on the branding and sales end to make cold traffic work.
Yeah.
And then you're sort of stuck in this perpetual loop of like, tried high pages, didn't work. Tried service seek, didn't work. None of this works. Only referrals and word of mouth works because it's warm traffic. So, if your advertising is working first, focus on your brand.
Yeah.
Second, focus on that back end system, making sure that your follow up is incredible and making sure your sales process is dialed. And the other thing I'd say is like, it's not just about like, it's not just saying I'm going to do better sales and I'm going to have a better brand. It's like create a system behind it. Okay, so you're going to do better sales. How are you going to do that? Okay, well, I'm going to do 4 follow-up calls and I'm going to send a text message at number 2. And then after I deliver the quote, I'm going to give another 4 follow-up calls and send them a beautiful message after that. Okay. And then, that doesn't work. Okay, well, now I'm going to level up my system. I'm going to do 5 calls and 2 text messages. Still doesn't work. I'm going to level up the system again. I'm now going to do 8 calls and 3 texts. Still doesn't work. I'm going to level up the system again. I'm going to do 9 calls and 4 follow-up texts. Now it works. And the level at which you need to have this back-end sales system dialed in at depends on what market you're in. If you're in Melbourne or Sydney, of course the competition's all the way up here. You need to be like super duper duper dialed on this end to make that work.
You're saying do more calls, more follow-ups, more stuff.
Like create a system that's repeatable.
Yeah.
And then see what the market says. If the market's not buying, you just increase the volume and the quality of that system. And you just keep increasing it until the market starts buying at the price that you want it to.
Yeah. I can hear, like I've had lots of sales calls with guys and I can hear, and even client calls and speaking to them. And I actually overheard a client call that you had. I caught like a glimpse of it as I was walking past. And the big thing for you and the kind of objection was like, how do I find the time to do all of these calls when I'm already trying to do all of the service, organize the boys, get the subbies in, like whatever that may be on the back end? I'm already overloaded. And now you want me to do all of this as well. How does someone workflow this in so they can achieve this system, so they can get more jobs, scale, and ultimately take their business to the next level?
That's the biggest challenge of business. It's like you've got so much that's required of you, so little time in the day, and how do you do it? You feel stuck, right? And it's like all business owners feel that. And it's so tough because it's like all the stuff you have to do, but you also have to have time for yourself to recenter, to operate at a good level for your family, to be able to, go to the gym, eat some healthy food, recenter, all that sort of stuff. So on the front end, like the branding and advertising front, like you can just hire an agency like what we do, right?
Done.
Like, as long as you've got some money coming in, put a few $1,000s a month aside for that. Over time, over 6 months, you will have an incredible brand on a few of those avenues, like whether it be web, whether it be Instagram and Facebook, whether it be someone's doing TikTok for some reason, whatever. You will have that great presence, and you can just pay more to increase the quality of that if it's not working, right? On the back end side, AI now is becoming so powerful. Like what we do for everyone is we have the AI bot that books people in for them. But it's also creating those systems frees up your time. Like if you just go, oh, I'm going to try and call everyone 5 times. That is going to get very messy very quick. But if you're using proper software to track every single call, if you're setting aside 2 hours a day to do these calls, you'll be amazed at how much you can call and what sort of sales volume you can put out with a proper system. I've seen one-man bands do 100K a month in sales just by having a dialed-in back-end system. You know, it's like have a CRM, which is a customer relationship manager, searched up. You've probably heard of Go High Level, or you've probably heard of what's the other ones?
So I think some of the tradie apps might even do it, like Tradeify, and I think they have a little
Tradeify.
Yeah.
That's a great example. Like
Yeah.
Tradeify is awesome. I've seen that platform. It's beautiful. So like Tradeify, like get on these platforms, dial in and systematize the sales. And obviously once you get to a point where you really can't do it and the volume's too much, then you just got to hire someone in to do it.
Yeah, but at that point, you're making the money to be able to afford the person.
Yeah, but until that, it's just like, don't just like increase the output and like trying to push through it. It's like systematize it, make systems behind it, create a plan of what you're going to do, like write out the system that you've got, call it your sales system and write out the system. Use Claude to help if you need to. Use the software to organize your system and then execute more like a machine. Like you're just executing this plan that you've already made instead of having to problem solve and use your bandwidth every single time. So what that means is like write yourself a script of exactly what you're going to say. Pre-write those text messages to send. Make your life easy and systematize that back-end sales process so you can increase that volume without hitting the fan.
Yeah. And I think the perceived like the amount of work that people think that needs to go into building that, it sounds like a lot of work. It sounds like it. But in actual reality, you could probably build that system and have it functionable within a week, and you wouldn't even be working every single day on that. Like 3-4 hours, you build a system, it's systemized, right? So like
Correct.
I think a lot of that is people just putting the time away to do that. So I guess maybe a thing that is like, when is the right time to look at doing that? When's the right time to look at, maybe starting to put some money into some marketing, building the brand? When's the right time to build the systems? Like, what's the point where we go, okay, I'm making 10K or I'm making 100K. When is the right time for someone to start that process?
I think now, regardless of where you're at. Like if you're at 5K a month, you're at 10K a month, building that sort of back-end sales system for your business, even if it's overkill for the time being, it's not going to be overkill for long, you know? And what people also forget is like, sounds like a lot, you know, there is like cold callers that work 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day and make 300 dials a day.
Mad people.
Like it's, you know, it's like, yeah, it's a lot of work in perception, but it's like, if you've got a system that you follow, you can do way more volume than you think, in a way shorter amount of time than you think. But not if you're just like jumping on the phone, it's like, oh, I'm going to call these leads. It's like, that's going to take up a lot of bandwidth and you're not going to get much done.
Yeah.
So I think if you just like sit aside, you could literally do it in 6 hours.
Yeah.
Create that system, sign up to a CRM platform like Tradeify or Go High Level or something like this, or Dazza. We've got Dazza people can sign up to. Create your sales system, write your scripts, what exactly you're going to say, put it all inside your system, follow up with it well, and start executing on a small level, even if you've only got, 4 or 5 leads a month coming in, execute this system on that level. And it might be more effort in the short term, but once you've dialed this process in and you've got 100 or 200 leads coming in a month, this is what's going to save you from, wanting to jump off a cliff.
Yeah, and put heaps of money in your pocket. It's like, it's real interesting. I think that with the painting service itself, right? People have to first of all, it's just one guy and he's painting. When he's learning, he's an apprentice, he's just learning how to do it. But then as time goes on, he figures out the system. He goes, well, if I cut in and start doing that, then I do the walls. And then over time, he becomes a really good painter. And you're saying it's the same process with this marketing and branding and things.
Jordan, that's such a good analogy. You have a system for your painting and how you manage your team. Same thing with your sales. And I guarantee you, if you set up this system on your sales and you set up a similar system on your branding and you have a really good branding and you will have a really good sales process and everything's systematized, right? Systematized. it doesn't matter what marketing agency you go to, you're going to get success. The reason we've like niched down to painters is because we set up both these systems for you so that we can guarantee that sort of success and really get it. But the reason most marketing agencies, or a lot of them, get a bad rap is because these systems, sure, some marketing agencies will do the branding. A lot of them won't. But there's no marketing agencies that do this for you.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Setting up your scripts, doing all that stuff. It's like, that's what really allows you to crack the cold traffic. And most people forget that or completely neglect it. And just out of ignorance. Not your fault, but it's just out of ignorance. If you go to any multi-million-dollar company in most other niches, they do have this set up. But in the trades, it's like not something that anyone does.
Yeah, in other niches, you're saying it's just a normal practice, right?
Well, I come from being a health insurance broker where, I was selling anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000 of health insurance premiums a month. And this is dialed in for an entire sales floor of over 100 staff. So it's like, this is the system that is proven and that's not just for health insurance. It's for many different niches, life insurance, telesales, like heaps of stuff. Like this is just normal in big sales floors. It's like, take these proven systems that you need to scale a big business and put it into your small business and you will have massive success.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what would you say would be the difference between someone making, say, 50K a month or maybe even like 500K a year to someone that's making $2, $3, $4, $5 million a year in these kind of, in the painting industry?
Two things. One, it's their ability to hire and manage a team and project manage. Like that is such a headache, especially in the painting industry. It's like hiring good people is so hard in the painting industry. Super duper hard. Project managing all that is really hard. And then being good at sales, this system I just talked about, is the other half of the pie. So, having a really good sales process, if you have this dialed, and you're getting, you're acquiring leads from, your referrals and word of mouth, of course you're going to sell a bunch. And if you're able to effectively hire more painters and project manage, you're going to be able to have the bandwidth, boom, to then crack cold traffic.
Yeah. I think a really interesting analogy that just kind of came to my mind as I'm hearing you say all these things, I think of like a mountain and there's like heaps of rivers and there's heaps of rivers come down and there's different points that the rivers come out. And instead of trying to like sit at the top and take water from all the top, you could just go down the bottom and build like a water well down the bottom, and then it just works for you instead of trying to bucket the water at the top because you can't build anything because it's like there's just shit going on everywhere. You've got a water well, you've got your system, and then you've got the water flowing through, which might be the leads, come through your system, they come through the branding, like you're saying, they build the trust, they come through the sales, you close them, and then that just turns into an ocean full of money, essentially. Yeah.
And I think, 100%, and to really answer the question directly, what's the difference between a small painting business and a painting business doing over $1 million a year? One has systems, one doesn't have systems. Simple as that. Whether it be systems on your project management, whether it be systems on your sales, whether it be systems to get those leads, bring them into your ecosystem. And one is just scraping around, trying to get leads from here, trying to sell, trying to project manage, and you're just running around trying to put out fires all the time.
Yeah.
Instead of having fire trucks set up with people in them that are putting out these fires for you and you're just in the command center. So, when you're running around real sporadic, trying to get leads, trying to project manage, and you get a complaint from a customer, it's like, it feels like you're already working 10 hours a day and you're like, oh, how can I possibly have the time to set up these systems? Setting up these systems initially takes longer than just solving the problem, as an example. Let's say, for example, a customer complains to you about the cutting in on one of your projects. It's sloppy, it's gone over the skirting, and it's cooked. You need to do it again. And you'll go, okay, you call up your technician, your painter, and you say, hey, if you could please, redo that skirting. Cool, quick thing. But it's going to happen next time. You're going to have to call them again and say, hey, could you please fix up that skirting, right? Instead of going, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an SOP, a standard operating procedure, a doc, that says when you turn up to the job, this is how you do the painting work. this is how you do the skirting, and this is when you leave the job. Now you take this doc, you give it to all your painters, and you say, guys, this is exactly how I want you to paint. Never going to have a skirting issue again. Sure, doing that doc took way more time in the short end, but how much future time did you save you not having to call up your painter every single time he stuffs up on the job because there's no structure, right?
Yeah. So what you're saying is, and maybe even another applicable way is, if you're running out of time at the moment, and you're running around like a headless chicken, like you're saying, systemize those big problems that you've got now, so it frees your time up, so you can actually look at building a proper marketing system, building a proper sales system. So you've got the time, and then redoing that and applying it again.
Correct.
It kind of sounds like 2 steps back, but then it's like 20 steps forward.
Exactly, Jordan.
Yeah.
Exactly. And when those problems, I think the best way to, it's like when those problems come in, sure, you might not have the time to systematize everything straight away, but just pick one problem. I'm going to firefight these 3 and I'm going to systematize this one. The next week, I'm going to firefight these 3 and I'm going to systematize this one. The next week, I'm going to firefight these 3 and I'm going to systematize this one. The next week, there's only 2 problems to firefight and 2 of them are already systematized. The next week, now you only have 1, and then you just keep working back until all the problems are systematized, and now all of a sudden you've got a free extra 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
It's like, just systematize 1 or 2 at a time, 1 or 2 problems as they come in, and eventually you'll find your time freeing up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. It is, and I think this is where expectations might even have to change in regards to, okay, yeah, you want to make $5 million a year starting from next month. Yep. But if it takes you 6 months or a year to get there, instead of 5 years the way you're currently doing it, running around, you win.
Yeah.
You win.
Correct.
Yeah, that's real interesting.
And it's like the amount of operators as well that operate at $1 million a year and are running around, stressed out of their mind with, small ass margins like 15%. There's a lot of them, and they do not like what they're doing. What you really want is a business that's really systematized, runs at a great margin, and you're only having to work 4 or 5 hours a day. And that's the sort of business you build when you take time to build your sales systems, build your branding systems, and build your project management and fulfillment systems, and you have everything documented, and you just become the systems manager instead of the firefighter, So yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, what are some platforms right now that you feel like are working really well? Because there's so many, right? There's TikTok, there's YouTube, there's Google, there's Facebook. What are some platforms that are working right now for your clients that are consistently getting leads and even furthermore actually converting them?
Google and Meta is the 2 for cold traffic. It just is. Google, you're going to get warmer leads because they're much higher intent. Meta is harder to crack, but will make it it's a lot more fruitful when you do crack it.
Sure.
Right? But it's a lot harder to crack.
Sure.
So, and the reason it's a lot harder to crack is because the branding system needs to be so dialed and your sales system needs to be way more dialed. With Google, you can get away with just having a good website and having a mediocre sales process. So it works better for a lot of people. But with Meta, if you have an amazing branding and you have an amazing sales process, it will work better and you will make more money off it. But again, setting up these systems takes time, and if you don't have that time, you need to hire someone that can do it for you, like us.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I guess the thing that I said, I was talking to a friend the other day. He's a tradie friend, and he was like, it's really hard to get. He's trying to do the ads himself. He said it's really hard to get these ads going. He kind of called me and go, "What do I do with this? What do I do with this?" I'm like, man, I was like, this is gonna take you a while to learn. He's like, oh, but I've got to do all these other things. I'm like, yeah, but you're literally setting up a money printer.
Yeah,
you're literally setting up a money printer. So of course it's going to take time, because if everyone could set up a money printer, they would have it. And we wouldn't be on this podcast right now.
Yeah.
But that's just purely not the case. So I guess the long term, maybe monetary kind of, to give people an idea, once you have the branding, once you have the sales right, and you've got the system on the back end, what does that actually look like in regards to monetary value that people might be able to take home at the end of the day, at the end of the week, put in their pocket?
Yeah. Well, when you have a painting business specifically that's doing $1 million a year, which is where we try to get all our clients to at a minimum, and then scale past that, right? $1 million a year in a painting business, you're going to be operating, if you're doing it well, at 25, 30% margins, right? So 25 to 30% margin, that's $300K a year in your pocket, which is good. If you're not running around like a headless chook,
Yeah.
If you're only working 6 hours a day, that sounds awesome, doesn't it?
So
And
good.
then you start scaling that further, right? And I think like a lot of marketing agencies say all these numbers and it feels like a scam because it feels unreasonable. I'm not trying to be unreasonable here. If you set up these systems well, $300K a year is not an unreasonable amount of money for a business owner working 6 hours a day to earn if you do everything well. And then you can scale past that, earn more money and build a bigger team,
Yeah.
right? But if you think that you're going to start marketing and sign up with an agency, they're going to build this for you overnight, no. It's just like, that just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, we have gotten businesses to that level in 60 days, but everything's not systematized yet. It might take us 6, or it might even take yourself 6 months to really systematize everything where you can step back and go, oh, okay, cool, I'm earning a lot of money and I'm not doing as, amount of work. And that's where you feel really rich and wealthy in your business, is when your team is doing a lot in revenue, you're not having to put too much effort in and your margins are good.
That makes sense. And I feel like there's something that has been sitting on me for a while. It's like I'd always just be trying to really push the clients and not kind of taking those little wins, be like, no, we just need to like keep going. But like this stuff that we're setting up, making $300K a year, working 6 hours, like, and even in some of your cases with some of your other clients making a whole lot more than that.
Yeah.
That's a massive, not only life achievement, but business achievement. You can sell it, give money to your, you've got your whole life set up around that.
Correct.
And it's a massive, massive achievement. I think people kind of, because we're just so busy in this stuff, we kind of overlook that and go, oh yeah, I'm just next problem. But this is huge stuff that we're working on.
Correct.
So, I mean, someone working on this, they're hungry, they want it, they're willing to put in the work. They can hear you talking about all these things, but they maybe don't have enough time to go and learn a whole new skill, a whole new trade of marketing and things and setting up the sales. And what does someone like that do to come and do with you? Like how can you help them? What do you kind of help them implement? What does that kind of look like to give people an idea?
Sure. So most business will come to us at the 50K a month mark. So around the 50K a month, some of them are at 100K and we scale them to $2-3 million a year, but they come to us at the 50K a month mark. First, they come in and we have a look at this side of things: the branding, the ICP, the market positioning, what they're good at, their bandwidth. And we will re-engineer everything if we have to. Like we will completely ditch their logo, their brand, and re-engineer everything if we have to, if that's what it takes. But we will be extremely brutal and extremely cutthroat on, their brand, their positioning, what we need to do on this side of things just to get that success.
Yeah.
We don't, if there's someone with a brand that comes to us and they're like, we don't want to change our brand, we just want to scale with this, and we can see it won't work, we just won't do it. So the first thing is we fix their branding, we will fix their social media presence. Less is more, right? Just make sure everything and their digital footprint is premium and dialed. So logo, brand colors, brand deck, social media posts, everything. Fix all this, positioning, ICP, offer, everything. Then we'll go to the backend systems and we'll fix this as well. We'll give them DAS CRM, we'll set up their pipeline, so make sure they've got a structured sales process. We'll insert an AI bot to follow up with the leads on the front end and book people in for quotes so they've got more time. And we'll give them a script as well to sell people so that they're able to effectively convert leads into sales. What we also do for them is give them better proposals. It's a quoting software that allows you to see when quotes are opened by homeowners, so you can call up the leads really, really well. And there's a bunch on this back end more as well that we systematize for them. And we literally just built this system by working with a bunch of painters that were successful and saying, hey, what are all these different painters doing that's successful? Let's combine it all into a nice little sales package here that we can coach painters on how to use so they convert effectively. So first we set up, make sure their branding and positioning is dialed. Then we make sure that the sales process and scripts are dialed. Then we film the ads and get everything live and start generating some traffic. And once these two systems are set up and we're generating traffic from Meta, is mainly where we go first off, we're getting people coming through, they're seeing your brand, putting in an inquiry, and you're able to effectively close them and turn them into a job. Right.
So you're coming and setting up this entire system that you've just walked through today, essentially, and
Yeah.
and that better proposals. That's such a cool thing to
Yeah.
know how you can see if a lead opens a quote. That's all your little bits and bobs, and I think that's the benefit of working with someone like yourself is you have all of this data live in the market coming from all of your top clients to what's working and this has stopped working, so we're going to do this sweet that's working, and then that can ripple effect between your whole group of clients here, so you can really look after them. It's, I think, a really powerful place to be if you're wanting to actually look at this. What is someone like someone wants to do this, right? They actually want to move forward, they like the sound of your system. What have they got to be willing to do, and then furthermore, like, if they are willing, what would they have to do to, like, come out, reach out to you, get a hold of you, kind of thing?
So at a minimum, we won't work with businesses that are doing less than 30,000 a month in revenue. And that's just because of the fulfillment. I believe that you can get to $30,000 a month in revenue just from doing a good job and having good word of mouth. So if you're doing a good job, having good word of mouth, and you feel like your team is, you've maybe got 2 or 3 subbies that can really go ahead and do the work and do a good job of it, cool. All you got to do is go to our website and click on book a call with Kai. He'll have a chat and book in a consultation, walk you through the system and dial it in for your business, give you a 60-day plan of how we can implement everything, and we take it from there. We do take a percentage of revenue when we work with people, and that's just because all this, it's fucking hard to set up. It's not easy. We've got a whole back-end team that sets up the tech. We get videographers out to you to film. We set up the branding. I spend my own time in looking at your brand, saying, all right, well, what we actually need to do is position you in the market here, because a lot of the competition is positioned this way. So everything's unique. Everything's really thought out and dialed in for your business. So if you're willing to spend 60 days growing your brand, growing your systems into something that's actually elite, if you're willing to set aside a bit of your revenue and partner with someone, then we're for you.
Cool. Awesome, bro. Awesome. Well, thank you, man. I think this has been very helpful. I think, if you're listening to this, you could just treat this as another podcast you listen to. You could keep lying to yourself and saying, I'm taking in this information, but the change happens when you do something about it, right? Whether they implement something themselves or whether they come and partner with someone like you, I think there's enough actionable steps in here on they can go and even just audit. How does my brand look? How does my sales system? How is our systems on the back end? Is it set up? You can just start working through it, first of all. And then, I'll get in touch if you're at that mark, you're doing above 30 or 50K, and actually come and start doing some work and these things sorted. No, that's awesome, man.
100%. Thanks for having me on, Jordan. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, awesome, man. Appreciate you being here.
100%.
Awesome.